Alright, I thought that I would make you guys just a quick review video just because our test is coming up and we've added a few things. So pick some problems that I thought I'd go over in case you missed a day or you were lost on something, just so that you had something else that you could look at. So my first example is going to be finding the side, and I'm rounding to the nearest tenth, so I'm going to be using my calculator. So for finding a side, we've done lots of different things, but what we've been focusing on recently has been SOHCAHTOA, so that's what I'm going to use. Although this one, if you'll notice, is a 60 degrees, so you could use special right triangles if you wanted to, but just to keep it easy and to use SOHCAHTOA, I'm going to do that. So I have my hypotenuse, and I know I have my adjacent, which of course means I'm going to use cosine. So I do cosine, and I always put the angle in here. So I put 60 equals x over 11. Okay, and then just to refresh you one more time, I'm going to show you on my calculator that I'm going to double check my mode. So I press mode, and I need to make sure that this right here says degrees. So I'm going to press enter just to make sure that I've got that. And then I've got my cosine button and all of that good stuff, but I just wanted to remind you one more time to check your mode. So back to the problem we were working on. You're going to multiply 11 times cosine of 60 in your calculator, which I'm assuming we can do, and we get 5.5, and we'll just write units because we don't know. And there's how you do number one. So let's double check ourselves, and yep, 5.5. Give yourself a pat on the back. Okay. Now, then after that, we did finding angles. So we're going to do finding angles, very similar, except now we have to draw the triangle. So I hope you watched my last video and remembered that they said the C is the right angle, so I have to make this C. It doesn't matter which one of these is A and which one is B, but I am finding the angle B. C is 16, side C, and side A is 15. And I'm just going to mark angle B so I know this is what I want to find. So you could find side B, but you don't need to. If it would make you happy, you can, but you don't need to. You're just finding angle B. So I'm going to switch colors. That means that I have the hypotenuse and I have the adjacent. So again, I'm going to be using cosine, but this time I don't know what the angle is. So I'm going to put theta in there, which is just a symbol. So cosine of theta equals 15 over 16. And remember, this one for cosine and sine has to be less than 1 or you're going to get an error. So if you accidentally flip them, that's a good check for yourself. So on your calculator, you were going to do cosine inverse of 15 over 16, which is when you press second cosine. So I'm going to do that. And I get rounding to the nearest tenth again, so I get 20.4 degrees. So I'm going to make sure that I put degrees on that one. Okay, nothing too crazy, and we got it right. Great. All right, last one I wanted to do was just another one that you have to draw it, so a little more practice with that. If you feel good about it, why don't you pause right now and draw it yourself and figure it out and see how you do. If not, you can watch with me. So I'm going to do C. Let's keep A and B, why not? So I know B is 3 and A is 4. Now this one says solve each triangle, so that means you have to find everything that you don't already have. So of course I'm going to have to find C, side C, so I might as well do that first using Pythagorean theorem. So 4 squared plus 3 squared is 25, so I know this is going to be 5 feet. So might as well find that first. Then I can just start by finding any angle that I want. So I'm going to do A. Why not? So I'm going to use A. And again, I have all the sides, so I can use any trig ratio I want either. I'm going to use sine. Sine's my favorite. So sine of A is equal to opposite, which would be 4, over the hypotenuse, which is 5. So then I'm going to do second sine of 4 divided by 5. And you get angle A is 53.1 degrees, which you can see down here at the bottom. So I've got C and I've got A. You could do SOHCAHTOA again to find angle B, but why not just subtract from 180? So do 180 minus 53.1 minus 90, and then you're going to get that 36.9 degrees easily. So you can use a couple different methods all in one problem. I used Pythagorean theorem to get 5, then I used SOHCAHTOA right here, and then I used just 180 is all the angles of a triangle right there to get that answer. So if you're confused at all, you have any questions and you want to back it up, just rewind and look at these problems. But this is what we really added on in the past few days. Other thing that I wanted to do was just a couple of elevation depression problems. This is on my website right under this video if you want to do any of these problems, and there's also a key posted. But there are just 2 of them that I wanted to actually work out with you because I thought they were the most interesting. So there's one right here I wanted to do, number 12. It says a ladder on a fire truck has a base 8 feet above the ground. I even drew you a picture. And the maximum length of the ladder is 100, so that's right here. And if the ladder's greatest angle of elevation possible is 70, so we're at the greatest height, so that means this has got to be the greatest angle right there. What is the highest above the ground that it can reach? So that would mean they want this length right here. But the triangle we have goes to right here. So we're going to have to be a little bit tricky with this one, and we know this is 8. So I'm going to solve for this piece right here. And then at the very end, all I'm going to do is add on 8 at the very end. So I'll work this one out just so we can do it together. Maybe I'll call this Y. So I have the hypotenuse, and this is the opposite. So I'm going to have to use sine of 70 equals Y over 100. Then I'm going to multiply those in my calculator. Sine of 70. And I got 93 point, what am I supposed to be rounding to? Let's double check. Nearest tenth. So I will do that. So 93.969, so that means you'd round it to 94.0. And this is in feet. So that means I found the length right here. And I just need to add the 8 on at the very end. So I'll add 8. And you would get 102. Yes, because of my rounding, 102 feet. Okay, so that's an example of when you would have to add the number that you're given in the problem up here. I know we did one in class where you had to subtract, so I wanted to do one where you had to add. The other one I wanted to do was number 13. So for number 13, it looks like a lot going on. Good thing they drew your picture. So a person is in an apartment building, so they're right here. And they cite the top of the building 500 feet away. So it's a good thing they put the 500 there for us. And the angle of elevation for the top of the office building is 23 degrees. So I'm looking up to the top. And the angle of depression for the base of the building is 50 degrees. So that would be right there. And they want to know how tall the building is. So basically it's 2 problems. You need to find this length right here. And then you need to find this length right here. And just add them together at the end. But this is 500 for both problems. So I'm going to find x first. So I'm going to use tangent because this is my hypotenuse and I don't have that labeled, so it makes it pretty easy. Tangent of 23 equals x over 500. And then I'll just set up the other one too. Tangent of 50 equals y over 500. So I can put them both in my calculator. 500 times tangent of 23. So that's 212.237. I'm just going to leave it in my calculator for now. And then add it to 500 times tangent of 50. And then that would be 595.876. But I have this in my calculator again. I'm not going to round them if I can help it until the very end. So I'm adding them in my calculator. So that is going to Definitely said that I had an error, which I do not. Come on, calculator. All right, so I got 808.1 feet tall. Okay, so I just wanted to do a couple different examples where you have multiple steps, but again, if you're still confused, there are examples right below where this video is on my site.